The Kremlin announced its intention to raise the conscription age for military service. So far, Russians are drafted from 18 to 27 years old, but they offer to call up from the age of 21 to 30. This was announced by the head of the Russian Defense Ministry, Sergei Shoigu, at the board of the department on December 21st. He also proposed to increase the size of the army by more than 30%.
To
ensure the fulfillment of tasks and ensure the military security of Russia, it is necessary to increase the number of military personnel in the armed forces up to 1.5 million servicemen, including 695,000 servicemen under the contract.
Changes in the draft age will enable the Kremlin to expand the potential base of conscripts for military service, experts say. Indeed, men who somehow did not get into the army until the age of 27 were, for example, busy with their studies, again have the obligation to join the ranks of soldiers.
At the age of 18 to 21, a large part of citizens use military service deferment. At the age of 18, they graduate from school, go to the college or university, and they can use military service deferment for a few more years. The study deferment is one of the most common ones. Accordingly, 18 to 21 years old are not often called up for military service, and at the age of 27, as a rule, there is no such reason for deferment. By the age of 27, other reasons may appear, family ones, but in 2008, the deferment due to the birth of one child was removed. 2 children are not so often born. Military lawyer of the Call to Conscience coalition in a comment to Medusa media outlet.
Also, Shoigu during the meeting proposed to provide the opportunity to enter the military service under the contract from the first day of military service. This, according to the Military Observer, will allow creating a professional army in Russia.
Those who are called up will be able to sign a contract from the very beginning, from the first day, if they want to. Now it can be concluded only after 6 months of military service. Moreover, there will be 695,000 contract servicemen. It is very important that we have a professional army and not just a conscript one. Shoigu's proposals will be accepted because the experience of the special military operation has shown that the army needs people to carry out operations with fewer soldiers against more. Viktor Litovkin, TASS Military Observer, in an interview with MSK1.ru.
The Ministry of Defense of Russia believes that with the change in the age limits for conscription for military service, more reasonable and responsible people will get into the army after studying at universities. This means that the army staff will be replenished with professional and intellectual recruits. However, there are facts when, during the so-called partial mobilization, IT specialists and doctors were taken away as riflemen or grenade launchers, without using their professional skills.
I think this is correct. 21 years old is a more mature person who is more responsible about life, which is most likely already educated. Even higher at the undergraduate level, correct solution. Konstantin Sivkov, Deputy President of the Academy of Missile and Artillery Sciences of the Russian Federation, in an interview with MSK1.ru.
According to human rights activist Nikolai Polozov, the reason for Shoigu's initiatives are caused due to the fact that in Russia there is a need to increase the number of men drafted into the Russian army, and also to force to serve those who previously avoided it due to their studies at universities. According to him, while there is an opportunity, young professionals under 30 need to leave Russia while the borders are open.
In no case do not approach the military registration and enlistment office. Do not take summons. If there are grounds for military service deferment, it is better to take care of the realization of these grounds as soon as possible. It is best to contact a lawyer before this. There are many ways to avoid being in a war, and in this sense, the legislation does not yet strictly punish for refusal to appear at the military registration and enlistment office from receiving a summons. So far, this is an administrative responsibility, ranging from 500 to 3,000 rubles in fines.
According to Nikolai Polozov, the proposals of the Ministry of Defense may lead to the fact that conscripts will be massively involved in combat operations, and first of all they will be sent to the front line in Ukraine.
По всей видимости,
Apparently, a decision has been made to wage a protracted war, an exhausting war, in the hope that, first of all, the West will get tired of the war, in the hope that support, including military for Ukraine, will be reduced, and in hope that it will be possible to withdraw from some kind of negotiations, which will be on conditions that are significantly more favorable for Moscow than they are now. But do not underestimate the Russian authorities. They are also learning from the mistakes that were made by the previous 11 months of the war, and apparently they are rebuilding management chains, decision-making within the Russian army.
Experts do not rule out that the Russian authorities are planning to use the human resources that they have more efficiently. Meanwhile, for now, one of the ways to fix the problems of the Russian army on the front line is seen in the involvement of shamans. There is a story on one of the Russian channels on the internet which describes how Kalmyk yurts were installed in the temporarily occupied Crimea. In them, a shaman from Buryatia performs a ritual to prolong the life of mobilized Russians in the war in Ukraine.
They are in the same situation right now. How they take part in hostilities, and it is the life extension right. This is probably the most important goal.
According to the latest data from the General Staff of Ukraine, the losses of the Russian army during the 10 months of the war amount to more than 103,000 personnel, reported by Sergei Shoigu, Victoria Sinko, UATV News.